All right. All right. All right. Welcome, 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 everybody. Welcome. How is everyone doing today? I hope you're doing great. Uh, this is Real Estate Sunday School. And we talk about all kind of things real estate related, right? So, we'll get, I should say, I will get messages on a regular basis about various issues that people have. How do we fix this, or how do we address this? How do we deal with that? I'm going through this with real estate, or I'm having this difficulty right now. What do I need to do? How can I fix this problem? How can I raise the money? Whatever the case, right? There's all kind of different things that come up all the time. And one of the things that I find uh, that is most important, well, more common, I should say, not necessarily most important, but more common, is that people will say, well, I can't find deals. How do I find deals? What do I need to do? How do I need to do it? And that comes from seasoned real estate investors as well as new real estate investors, right? And it really depends on what it is you want to do. I know that a lot of people watch, various things on social media, and there are educators, trainers, I hesitate to say gurus, but really good people that do real estate that will switch up. They'll say, okay, today we'll be talking about wholesaling. Maybe we're talking about fix and flip the next time. Maybe we're talking about lending the next time. Maybe it's land. Maybe it's sub two, right? And all those are viable, real methods, real things to do. But timing in the market is crucial. And I think anybody would tell you the same thing. Anybody would tell you that timing in the market is crucial. One strategy will work better at a certain time than another. It just is what it is. Having said that, if you're putting a lot of energy out there, meaning you're marketing a lot, maybe you're doing cold calling, maybe you're doing PPC, maybe you're doing direct mail, whatever it is, bandit signs, whatever marketing avenues you're using, you might be seeing a slowdown in the type of business that you're doing because you're doing it in with one exit strategy, if you will, right? So when potential sellers call in to our offices, and when my acquisitions team is working with them, we ask a million questions as to what their situation is, so that we can best work with them. Are we going to do a novation? Is it a cash deal? Is it a sub two deal? What is it going to be, right? So it's only in asking those questions and knowing what to ask can we really determine what the best method is to get that property under contract. Well, I have noticed that there's been a lot of land sitting around, and I have for many, many years now, about 12 years now, been working with different land banks, which is what we're going to be talking about today. And I want to make sure that if you have any questions, please, by all means, put them in the comments. Whether you're watching this live, I get a ton of questions after the fact, and I'm perfectly content with that. There are so many people that want to know how to do various things, right? That just stands to reason. I mean, we know there's a ton of money to be made in real estate. We know that there's a downturn in the market in some respects. Deals are getting done, though. People are buying deals. If they're priced right, I'm buying. If I'm doing a fix and flip, if they're priced right for the retail, people are out there to buy. It just has to be priced right. What does that mean? That means I have to make really, really, really deep offers, extremely deep offers to get that property in the right way, right? So getting to the point of what we're talking about, land banks, right? Land banks are everywhere, okay? Every state, every municipality, not every, but a lot of them have them, and some are better to work with than others. And I've put this whole comprehensive plan together for you to take advantage of. And if you're watching this on YouTube, there is a link in the description to go directly to it, right? So if there's anyone that is watching on another platform, you can, you can message me. I'll send it to you. It's absolutely free. I'm not asking you for a credit card number. I'm not asking you for any of that. I want people to learn how to take advantage of this, and which is why I'm going to go over some of the benefits and some of the places, even some of the areas, some of the cities that are best to work with right now. Some of the municipalities that are best to work with right now based on what their need is. Okay. And in this download that you're going to get, it has, email script, telephone script, whatever, however you're going to communicate with the land bank in your area or the area in which you choose so that you can best work with them. Okay. Because there are so many great ways to work with them. There's so many things that they can do for you. I mean, they'll help streamline the permitting processes. That's really big in areas where the permitting process can take a while, right? It used to be here in Atlanta where we could, get a permit in a couple of weeks, maybe a week, but that was a while ago. There have been a series of events that have changed that up. Of course, COVID was a big thing that changed that up, right? And it just is what it is. Things take a little bit longer. So it might take 2 or 3 months to get a permit. Well, you can kind of shorten that curve when you're working with land banks. They're going to work it for you because you're working in the municipality's best interest. There's also money that's available to you if you're working within the confines of what they want, provided you don't owe that particular county, city, state any taxes or any, you don't have any, like outstanding tickets, fines for real estate, right? Those are pretty much the only disqualifiers that I have found in the land banks that I have been working with. So again, if you have comments, questions, anything you want, just go ahead and comment. Go ahead and comment again, whether you're watching it live or whether you're watching it after. And I must say, there are no dumb questions at all. I get a ton of people that are afraid to ask the questions on the live. And again, it doesn't matter when you ask. I don't. I just want to make sure that you get the answers to the questions that you're asking or that you need to know so that you can take advantage of all these things that are available to you, because there's so many benefits, right? So let's just kind of get right into it. I mean, I've just spent, 7 or 8 minutes giving you just kind of a brief overview, not necessarily etiquette or anything like that, but it's imperative that you know what your options are and how you can work with it, right? So we bought just recently, and we're closing tomorrow, actually, on some more land that we're getting from a municipality. We're going to build, but we're getting them so very cheap. I made reference to a couple lots last week that we bought. That, I mean, we got them for roughly 30 cents on the dollar. I mean, it's just incredible. It's incredible. And when you're looking at developing, when you're building houses, and let me be clear, if you're going to spend $120, $130, $140, $150,000 on a renovation, you can build a house. Okay, you can build a house. There are great contractors all over the place that are going to build. Well, let me say this though. It depends on where you are. Because building costs, material costs will be different from state to state. I'm in the southeastern region, and I can build depending on the upgrades. Depending on the finishes is the word that they use or we use. Depending on the finishes, what kind of flooring, what kind of stone, what kind of faucets, what kind of lights. All of those things kind of play into your cost per square foot to build. But just to give you an example, going back to the properties that we bought, let me just talk about the properties we're buying, right? So we're buying, again, let's say it's about 33 to 35 cents on the dollar. That other 65 cents per, 65% per lot is going to be pure profit for us once we sell the property. So in our case, these are lots that should be worth about $120,000 to $125,000. We're going to sink some money into them to develop them, take the trees out, maybe add some dirt, That's going to take our acquisition of this land from, I think it's 38,000 up to, I'm going to add 15 to that, so we'll be right at just $53,000 a lot, but we're still at about 45 cents on the dollar. Okay, that's leaving us about $70,000, roughly $70,000 per lot in pure profit on the back end, which is crazy. And we're getting two of them, two. And so that's $140,000 in profit that we're going to be getting. Now, I'm not going to break the deal down and what it looks like, how much it's going to cost us to get the money, how much it's going to cost us to sell it. I mean, that's not why we're here. Okay. I'm here today to share with you exactly where you can find these and how you can take advantage of this huge, huge blue ocean of real estate that very, very few people are taking advantage of. They're not, and the municipalities really don't market it. That's not what they do. They're not spending money to market. They're not doing that. So they have this land that they get in many different ways. A lot of times it's from blight, properties that were just left behind basically, or falling in on itself and nobody's doing anything. They've been cited. It's gone through the court system, and they've just taken it back. Many times they knock it down. There's commercial opportunities, mixed use opportunities. There's single families. I mean, there's so much. There's so much that you could take advantage of if you just take a look. And it really depends on what your strategy is. Some people want to do bigger developments. They want to do mixed use communities and things like that. Some people just want to build a house or two, right? Doesn't really matter. The small investors seemingly are not going into this at all. When I'm looking at this stuff, I mean, there's just nobody there. Very few people, I should say. Very few people are going to buy this stuff. And the people that I've seen are generally mid-sized developers. And when I say mid-sized, I'm talking about people that are building, 50, 200 houses a year, things like that. And they're not necessarily in one zip code or one area, but they're building all over the place, right? And they can get the land for cheap. They can work with the municipality, get them a tax, an additional parcel that's going to be taxed as a residential dwelling or a commercial dwelling or a mixed use development, whatever it is. And the municipality loves it. And a lot of times they have local grant money available to help you get that done, provided you're fitting into whatever their model is. Some of them want you to do affordable housing. Well, if they're going to give you $50,000 for a lot and you're building, or $50,000 in a grant, and you're building, I don't know, let's say a $350,000 house, well, you're getting 50,000 of that in the grant, in the form of the grant. That's going to come in various ways depending on the grant. Sometimes they give it to you right away. Sometimes it's pieced out based on your, on your progress on the project. However, but let's dig into it. Okay. So what are the benefits? And I'm reading my cheat sheet here. This is the same cheat sheet that you're going to be able to download for free. And it's full of stuff. There's live links in there. There's spreadsheets, there's scripts, there's everything you need to talk to these municipalities and what you need to know and where you can find more information. Not only that, I'm going to give you the top 6 best municipalities to work in right now, depending on what your strategy is, okay? So the benefits of real estate investors using land trust start out with what it is, understanding what a land bank is. And a land bank is basically, as I describe, it's a lost and found for real estate. It's a lost and found department for real estate. That's what it is. It's for distressed real estate, but instead of, finding umbrellas and coats and whatever you find in there, you're finding real estate, land, houses, buildings, whatever it is. And you can scoop them up literally for pennies on the dollar, okay? They're always going to be very, very deeply discounted. There's room for negotiation, right? Sometimes there's stuff we were looking at where they were asking $100,000 a lot. Maybe we want to get it at 75. We can buy a house in that neighborhood. I've got my builder actually bought a house from them for $130,000 or $140,000, and they just tore it down and built a new house because it was in such disrepair It made no sense to try to renovate it. I mean, if all there is the foundation, you're going to build a new house anyway. So just build a new house, right? Right. So you're going to spend the same amount of money. So you might as well have a new product on a new foundation that fits the way people are living and want to live today. Okay. So they're going to be tax delinquent properties. They're going to be abandoned properties, blighted houses, vacant lot, just real estate that has been abandoned and is falling in on itself or just in disrepair. You know, we bought one in Memphis, Tennessee, and it was a commercial property, and it was for a food service company. And this particular food service company was serving schools, the school systems out there in Memphis and Arkansas. And they had about 30 schools, and they were cooking in the schools as they were adding more schools. One kitchen wasn't enough, so they go into another school, which means they have to create another distribution center. Okay, which means more people, more vans, because you can't work people around the clock in one small kitchen. So they got the schools to open up to give them more kitchens in those schools, which means buying more equipment. The same equipment they already had, they're doubling up on all this stuff. So we bought a property, four-sided brick, had 3 bays, more than enough room. They also had a catering company that they had more than enough room for them to take all this equipment and put it in there. So we had to go in, redo electric, you know, all the mechanicals, electric, heating and air, plumbing. You know, we had to do a new roof, flooring, all that great stuff. And it's a wide open layout. So all we had to do was, you know, put the duct work in, all the things, gas lines for sure, all the things that you need so that you can have a kitchen. And it cost $4,000 to buy that property, just $4,000. That was it. Now the renovation was pretty spendy. It was a couple $100,000. You know, I think it was like close to 250 actually, but it really didn't matter. We have a property that's worth over $500,000 that he got for 4,000, all in roughly 250,000. And he was able to refinance that property right after the renovation was done. Once all the machinery was in, or, you know, all the kitchen equipment, I should say, was in, all the vents, all the stoves, the fryers, whatever, all the things that they needed to have in there. It was just an absolutely wonderful project. That's just one example. You know, actually, I've given you 2 today, right? So getting back, that's what they're doing. And they're, again, at very highly reduced prices. Some of them are under market value, as I said, you know, 50 to even 90%. So you just have to go and make a deal. Another benefit is that the titles are always going to be clear. You're going to, even though you're still going to go and get a title policy, you have to do that. You'll hear people that don't do it. I would not recommend that. Even though the title is clear, you never know what can pop up. Things pop up all the time from previous owners. You know, you just never know, because debt is purchased by other debt collectors, attorneys, and so on and so forth. And if they know that this property was attached to this person or this company that maybe filed bankruptcy or whatever the case, maybe the debt is just not written off. Maybe there's taxes, whether they're city, county, state, federal, whatever. You don't want those things to come back. So you're still going to get a title policy, but it's going to make it a lot easier for your title company or attorney to get that title done. It's going to be a really fast process because the state clears all that stuff up, because the state actually takes ownership. Or let me say it's the municipality. It's the municipality. Let me make my words clear. Pardon me for a second. Now that's quality H2O. All right. So your titles are going to be clear. You know, they're going to wipe away those liens, those taxes, all those nuisance fees that would have been associated that they would have applied to that particular property from that other owner. They're going to deliver an insurable and marketable title to you. Again, even though you're going to have your title company or attorney look at it anyway and then bond it, get an insurance policy, it's going to be delivered to them clear. All right. And you're solving all kind of headaches before you buy by getting it from them. There is a bit of a process, but it's fine. Once you're in, you're in. This saves you thousands and thousands of dollars cleaning up title issues and the time it takes a lot of times when you're buying properties that are distressed in that manner. Because if they have all these liens and you have to go to the municipalities or even the federal government, or in some places, the water company, those liens never go away. They never go away. They never go away for you, the average person / company. But for municipalities, they get that stuff wiped out and it's clear, and you don't have to worry about it. Whatever you're going to pay is what you're going to pay, and nothing more than that. So that's beautiful, a beautiful thing. You have easy access to inventory. You don't have to put up bandit signs if you're building, and looking for the owner of this particular vacant lot or any of that stuff. These municipalities are going to tell you where they want the dollars to be spent. They're going to say, look, we're looking at this zip code. We want to build, we want this kind of development. This is who we want to service. If you can do that, we'd be happy to work with you. You just have to fit inside their program, period. So instead of hunting all over the place for these deals, you have a centralized location with public access to all this property. All you have to do is ask for it. There's favorable program purchases. That means that, side lot programs, which are cheap for expansion, bulk acquisition programs. If you're a bigger developer, there's a lot of different things that you can do. You don't have to necessarily buy all the lots in, like a big one single parcel that, it could happen and they're out there, but it may not be where there's one single parcel. They might say, okay, we want this zip code and we have 28 lots in that particular zip code we'd like to develop. Well, there's programs that they have where you can buy all of those, not necessarily all at once, but you can tie it up, right? It's really just a fantastic opportunity, right? There's always going to be developer discounts. This is part of the allure. Rehabilitation requirements that increase the quality of the particular property that they're talking about is what you're looking for. And a lot of times there's flexible financing and what they call stage closings. And stage closings are what I just described when you talk about you want to buy 10 lots, but you can't take them all down now. You can tie them up. That's what I mean when I say staged closings. You might do that over a 12-month, 18, or even a 24-month period. Again, it depends on the municipality. Some even offer lots for as little as $1, $500. Michigan is a great place, but there's more than just that, but that's a great place. And you might say, many of you that are watching might say, well, why? Nobody wants to go to Michigan. Why? And when you think of Michigan, of course, you think of Detroit, and you think of how bad it was and how bad it may still be in some ways. But what you don't know is that the city of Detroit, Michigan, period, but the city of Detroit has been on a huge campaign to get businesses to come there. And now you have businesses that are there, and people are actually moving there. Why are people moving there? They're moving there because of the cost of living. So you're seeing, I hesitate to call it a boom, but you're seeing an upward movement in population because of affordability and because of the job opportunities that are presenting themselves in that particular area. So they give you tax abatements in a lot of cases, and that really doesn't matter if you're not someone that's building a rental portfolio. If you're building a rental portfolio, that's a huge benefit to you, right? Even there's nothing that a municipality can do about capital gains tax. That's a federal tax, right? There's nothing they can do about that. But if you don't, if your company is an out-of-state company, you're going to pay the state tax wherever you are anyway. There's nothing you can do about that. But if you are building a portfolio, a rental portfolio, it's a great thing to utilize. These tax abatements can be as long as 10 years in some cases. Most of them are around 5, but they can be up to 10 years. But again, most of them are around 5, right? Most land banks are tied closely to, city planning departments, economic development agencies, and state revitalization initiatives. So you don't have to necessarily go and search for what those initiatives are. You can simply ask the planning department or the land bank, if you will. What do you guys have out there? What's going on there? Yes, you still want to go and do your research, but if you don't know right now, that's fine. You're going to ask these questions and they're going to tell you. And if they don't know, they're going to tell you where to go to find out. And then that's just a telephone call or visiting the website and saying, hey, I want this information. I want to learn more about this. Okay. And when I tell you there are very few, very, very few people that are doing this, I am not exaggerating. This is a wide open market. You can find this stuff, take it down. Maybe you're going to need a cash partner sometimes, not all the time, because maybe you're a wholesaler, right? Maybe you don't have any intention or desire to build a house or renovate a house. You just want to wholesale it off. You can still do that. You don't even necessarily have to take it down. You just have to say, all right, we're going to do this. We got it under contract at this price. And then you sell it to them at that, whatever the higher price, so you can get your profit, but they have to abide by the stipulations of the deal that was made by you. And again, it's not going to be this, oh, how do we do this? They're going to tell you, okay, we want that renovated, or we want new construction there, period. So that's just, of course, if you're buying land, you're going to put a house there. That's the whole purpose of it, right? You're not going to do anything else. And so you'll have an opportunity to do all of that. Again, I talked a little bit about the long-term gains, utilizing the land banks to help investors assemble large parcels. Those are great for developers. We kind of touched on that. I kind of get ahead of myself a little bit, so bear with me. You're going to be revitalizing the entire area, one house at a time, or be a part of that, right? You can always drive down the street and be like, I had a hand in that. I did that. I was the builder, or I was the partner, or whatever the case. You have access to up and coming or redeveloping neighborhoods very, very early. The city knows what they want to do, or the county, whatever the municipality is. Again, you can build a very, very profitable rental portfolio with a very, very low, relatively low entry fee, as opposed to, what you're going to find out there in the open market right now, where everybody still wants top dollar, and you're waiting for them to have that moment in their life when they're like, I'm just sick and tired of this. I don't want to pay the taxes anymore. I don't want to keep cutting the grass. I don't want to have to keep cleaning this parcel. I don't want to have to keep going to court or paying fines because I'm being cited for X, Y, Z. Because that happens. People just get tired. They're simply tired. They're tired of dealing with it. They just don't want to deal with it anymore, okay? So the primary focus of land banks varies from state to state, as I said before. Every state's land bank mission is a little bit different, but they share a common theme: turning problem properties into productive assets that are producing an annual taxable income for the municipality, right? So let's just go over a little bit here. So let me get here. So let's just talk about a little bit of the priorities. Let me skip ahead here. Blight and removal, let's just talk a little bit about that. All right. Most states, again, I mentioned Michigan, Ohio, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Missouri, and New York State, right? So, or New York City, but specifically New York State. You don't have to say, oh man, I can't go to New York. I mean, the brownstones are $1.5 million. I mean, they know that, right? But there are other parts of the state that want to be and need to be redeveloped that don't cost that much money to get in. So for people that are in New York that are watching this right now, New York, New Jersey, here's a great opportunity for you, right? There might be a little bit more red tape in a big city like that than there is in a lot of other places. But if it's the difference between a 3 or 4 month process and $100,000 increase in your profit margin, I think that 3 or 4 months is worth the time to put in to get that benefit, don't you? For sure it is. Okay, for sure it is. And you have to be consistent in these efforts. You have to follow up, because again, they're municipalities, they're government workers. You send an email, maybe they don't respond. You have to follow up. You follow up with telephone calls, follow up with more emails. It doesn't mean you have to necessarily go down there, right? I mean, if you're local and you want to do that, then by all means, go down there. But make sure you're following up. You have to be consistent in your efforts. I cannot stress that enough, because their priority isn't your priority. They're moving paper, not money, but paper, files, right? As long as it gets off their desk, they're cool. But it's going to wind up on someone's desk who has to do something with it. And when you present yourself to whoever that person is, you're a blessing to them, an absolute blessing. You're helping them clear their workload. And some of you that are watching this know exactly how that feels. You know, you have in many, many different industries, not just this. I mean, you know, you sit there and all this stuff piles up on your desk and there's nothing you can do about it but try to move it. But you're not a marketing professional, right? You just know who you know, and you know who's in the database, and they're only communicating with who's in the database, period. So get in the database. And this is how you do it. All right. 2, affordable housing development. There's a high priority in states like California, Minnesota, New York, Massachusetts, Georgia, partnering with developers for workforce affordability programs is a really, really, really big deal. Because if any of you have family members or friends that work in the public sector, they could be police officers, they could be EMTs, they could be school teachers, you know, any of those. Affordability is a real issue. I can tell you, I know people in California that are the working homeless class. It's not just California, but just so happens that's where I know these people. I mean, they have jobs, but they're homeless. And they're staying with friends. You know, some people, sometimes they stay in their car and they go and they take their showers and get dressed at the gym, because the gym membership is only, you know, $25, $30 a month, because they can't afford to get into these houses, and they're gainfully employed. But I think that we could all admit that a $60,000 income in a place where the average house is, you know, $750,000, it ain't cutting it. You know, it ain't cutting it. I mean, the affordable housing right now that's being built and offered in New York is $3,000 a month, $2,800 to $3,000 a month for basically a studio. They're calling it a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom, but just a wide open floor plan with a little bedroom and a window. And who knows what that window is looking at? You're probably looking at a brick wall, right? You're definitely not getting great views in most of that, but some of them are. Some of them are. Some of them are. And these are new things, but again, it's $3,000 a month. And even if you make $100,000 in a place like that, if your salary is $100,000, you know, you're probably paying somewhere in roughly $25,000 to $28,000 of that in taxes every year, which is going to give you roughly $75,000. If you're paying $3,000 a month, that's half of that. We haven't started talking about utilities. We haven't started talking about food. We haven't started talking about transportation, insurance, phone bills. I mean, cable. Well, the internet, because, you know, we're not getting cable anymore, right? We get the internet and then we spend all the rest of that money on the services that we need, right? Which still puts us up to $100, $120 a month, depending on how many services you're looking at. It just is what it is. So $35,000, $36,000, $37,000 when it comes to all of those things, it doesn't leave much on the table for you. So what do? You get a roommate. You know, I mean, it's tough. It's really, really tough. And by the way, you won't even qualify in a lot of places that are high dollar like that on a $100,000 salary, because they want you to make sometimes 8 times the rent on an annualized basis, or at least 5 times the rent, at minimum 5 times the rent annually, not monthly, annually. So again, if it's 3,000, you got to make a lot of money to cover that. It's crazy. It's crazy. So, you know, that's $36,000. That's not even a third of what you make before taxes. Well, it's over a third of what you make before taxes. So you wouldn't even qualify to move in there unless you had a roommate. Sad but true. My friend says, hard but fair, sad but true, but it's real. All right. So those are the high priority states, partnering with the developers, rescuing these vacant lands for mixed income, mixed use, all these things, that's all real. They're going to be out there. It just depends on what the municipality's focus is. Again, you have to ask them, talk to them, get the information from them so they can tell you how that is. And investors who commit to rehab within a timeline often get priority access. What does that mean? That, like for us, for instance, we are bringing those properties, provided we get the assistance with the permitting, because they streamline that process for us. We're taking a 3-month process down to a month, which is super, super great. Even if it just took 2 months normally, if I can cut that in half, that's money. If I have a loan to develop this, that's 1 to 2 months, 1 to 2 months worth of interest I'm not paying on each project, which again is profit, right? So they're going to give you the priority access that you need to get this done. Number 4, economic development and commercial revitalization. Businesses that are focused in Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, Missouri, other places, but those are just the top 4 that I have located for you, for me, and for any of us that want to take advantage of this. They want to attract businesses, right? Obviously, Michigan is in there as well. They want to attract businesses to come there and revitalize. Now, a lot of the businesses that are going there are getting a lot of the federal money that at least used to be there. Okay, I'm not going to get into that right now, but they're getting a lot of the federal money that used to be there to buy these huge places. I mean, just huge swaths of land or buildings, commercial buildings that they can come in and convert to mixed use and create a live, work, play community, right? If you could grab a huge warehouse or a city block of warehouses for that matter, and systematically over the course of several years redevelop it, come on, we're talking millions of dollars. I know here in Atlanta, they give huge tax abatements for companies that come in to do those things. Huge. There's a company that came in from California to revitalize an area that we call the Gulch here, which is where they do all of the, I can't remember what you call it, but before the football games on Saturday and Sunday, the tailgate parties, excuse me, they're redeveloping that. They gave them $1.4 billion over a 10-year period to develop that. It's $1.4 billion that they get to keep in taxes over a 10-year period. It's $140 million a year that they get. It's just incredible. But that's a huge, huge development. It's not anything I think that most of us would be looking at, but it's a massive, massive development. But this is what's there, right? They're going to attract business. They're going to restore commercial corridors. They're going to create jobs through that development. These are all major, major things. And commercial investors or mixed-use developers thrive in these particular areas and situations. I mean, how could they not, right? How could they not? All right. Large-scale land assemblies for future projects. These are called assemblages. These take a little bit more time. Again, these are larger, more in line with what I just talked about. You're going to collect properties in a particular area. It takes time to get those under contract, but if the city already has them or the municipality already has them, it's going to help you out. They're going to work maybe they have some of the real estate there, and your job is to go and make deals with the other property owners to revitalize this area. Often, I have an investor that we work with. He invests in a lot of the stuff we do. He bought a small warehouse and converted it into a shared office space in one of these areas. And he bought the place for $50,000. He put a lot of money into it. I don't even know how much they actually put into it, but it wasn't huge, but it was sizable. It was probably about 15,000 square feet. But for warehouses, that would be considered pretty small, right? So it's somewhere between 12 and 15,000 square feet. They revitalized it, renovated, made it beautiful. And here comes a company. And that particular property was in an area that we now call West Midtown. And that assemblage took about 3.5 years. They got a bunch of the blighted properties from the municipality, and they had to go and make deals with the current owners for things that were in good standing. And they paid them a premium for that real estate, a premium. He walked away. His portion of it, he had a partner, his portion of it was just under $1 million, but that's absurd. It's beautiful. I wish it was mine, but for him having that property for that relatively short period of time, I think they owned it 6 or 7 years, to be able to turn it in that time for that kind of profit was, fantastic, right? There are rural focuses as well. If you're in Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, West Virginia, for instance, there's farmland provisions that you can take advantage of. Returning abandoned rural homes to productive use. I have someone, a wholesaler that I work with out of Colorado, who has land in one of these areas, and she can absolutely take full advantage of this. It's just I think it's like 5 or 7 acres, but it works. You're supporting local families and small town growth. You're stabilizing some of these markets that otherwise wouldn't be stable or couldn't be, because what would be your incentive to go into an area and develop a house where you can't really make any money? So that's why they do these things, right? So I have a whole cheat sheet in this download that breaks down, and I'll just kind of summarize it. Michigan, Ohio, Pennsylvania, their primary focus is cleaning up and redeveloping. California, New York, and Massachusetts is affordable housing. Texas and Florida, tax roll restoration, which means they want houses to be renovated and sold or rented to increase their tax basis, right? They want to increase the annual tax revenue that they generate. And that's what they're focused on. Indiana, Missouri, Tennessee, Michigan is business development, but it's mixed use. It's a mixed use commercial play, right? Illinois, Colorado, and Virginia, large scale land assembly. Okay. That goes to what I just talked about. So that's going to be for the bigger guys, right? And then there's, of course, the rural stuff, and that's all about stabilization. The bottom line, land banks are a gold mine. They're an absolute gold mine, but it's wrapped in bureaucracy, and you have to put yourself inside that. But once you learn the system, and they'll help you learn the system, you're getting clean title properties, extremely low prices, community support, long-term plays that can turn small dollars into 6-figure outcomes overnight, within 6 months, for real. And then you just keep it going from there. I mean, you just don't stop. You just keep it going from there. Okay. Then there's this, I've got this, the cheat sheet goes on state by state, talks about the Midwest and what the focus is there in Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Wisconsin, and we get into the South, Georgia, Texas, what these focuses are. I'm here in Georgia, right? So we have Atlanta, we have Macon, we have Savannah. This is where they're actually focused on doing some things. We have a huge federal development in Savannah, so they want housing for these people. We have a huge auto factory that was developed there. You might have seen it on the news. The local representative down there had 500 and some odd people deported back to South Korea. Again, I'm not going to get into that, but that's in Savannah. And these are thousands, like 10,000 jobs, maybe a little bit more, but just between the two and all of the supporting stuff that comes with it. This is real. Okay. So these are good for fix and flips. They're good for all kind of that stuff. And it's just rescuing and stabilizing neighborhoods. Texas, return properties to the tax roll. Florida, revenue restoration, returning properties back to the tax roll. Alabama, Mississippi. And I have it broken down in regions depending on where you are or where you want to be, right? Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, Jersey, what their focuses are. Jersey is urban revitalization. So when you're looking at Jersey City, there's a ton of areas, Trenton, Newark, Camden, all these places, they want to revitalize these areas and they need help. They need people to come in and help. And the only way that's going to happen is if they put forth a financial effort, a concerted effort on on the behalf of the government to help you get that done. It's the only way it's going to happen, because someone who's slinging their money around isn't trying to go through a year of red tape just to, renovate a house or a building. They're just not trying to do it. It's not cost effective. The West and the Southwest, we've got California, affordable housing, Colorado, strategic land assembly. Again, Colorado's been growing and growing and growing, especially through COVID. So they want places for people to live and business, job opportunities. You can do that. Arizona, infill development. They want infrastructure development. So that's going to be for, new construction. You come in and you do everything and there's large parcels out there, by the way, huge. Nevada, redevelopment, land, vacant land rescuing, same kind of thing. Rural states, Kentucky, Tennessee, West Virginia, we kind of went over a little bit of that. So the 6 states with the best land bank opportunities, as I mentioned before, are going to be, and you want to write this down? No, you don't need to write it down. Download it. Download it for free. It's free. It's free. Take it. Michigan, Ohio, Georgia, Indiana, Pennsylvania, and New York. These are the 6 places that I found that are easiest to work with. And they're like, please come help. I mean, they're like hat in hand when you call them, when you reach out to them. I like Michigan. I like Georgia. And I'm halfway into Ohio. The New York place, it's too far away. I'm not building a portfolio over there. I'm not really interested in them. That's just me, right? Indiana, too far away. Pennsylvania, too far away. I can do Michigan, Ohio, and Georgia. All right. So that's my play. Those are my plays. All right. And so these are very active land banks with consistent inventory, a very clear process that you can follow along with. It's not crazy, and they're investor friendly. The rules are for you. And some of you that are watching this might be saying, well, hey, I don't understand. I mean, New York, I've heard, is terrible to work with. Anything in the Northeast for that matter, it's just very difficult to work with. They really, 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 really want people to come and help them get this stuff taken care of. And so these are the things that they're doing, right? And so it goes on and on and on. City by city quick guide, it's also in here. I've included the links to these municipalities so you can reach out to them. The links will go right to their websites, and you can find out information, find out who you need to contact, and go ahead and start making those telephone calls or emails. Simple as that. And I'm not going to go through all those. We'll be here all night, and I don't want to keep you all night. It's Sunday, right? It's Sunday. And then you get your blueprint. Once you've identified the land banks, you study the mission of the program, confirm the eligibility for the investors, choose the program or the property types that you're going to want to deal with, and you go from there. You simply just go from there. I do want to, however, go over, just some basic scripts. So, and they're in here. They're in here. All you have to do, again, is call or email, right? So here's an email. Investor inquiry is the subject line. Purchasing and redeveloping land bank properties. Hi, my name is, or hi there, my name is, right? Say your name, say whatever their name is, if that is posted, right? My name is Myles, and I'm a real estate investor based in whatever my market is. I specialize in, single family home restoration, whatever your specialty is, whatever you're looking for. And I'm interested in acquiring properties through the land bank, period. And then you tell them what it is for long-term code compliance, redevelopment, resale, rental, whatever it is. You just say whatever there. I've reviewed the information on your website, but I'd love to clarify a few things so I can align with your priorities. Again, you're giving it back to them. You're giving them the power because you want to align with them. You don't want to do what you want to do. I mean, you do want to do what you want to do, but you have to align your priorities with theirs because they're only going to let you do what they want to do. So if your priorities can align, then you go from there. And then you just lay it out, what type of buyers are priorities. You're going to learn all that through your reading and communication. I'm committed to doing clean, compliant projects that support neighborhood goals. And I'm happy to provide proof of funds, renovation plans, and references from past projects. Could we schedule a brief call to discuss how I might best work with your land bank? Thank you, Jason Myles, company, whatever website or portfolio bio that you may want to put in there as well. And it's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. And there's a phone dialogue in here that I've put. And again, you're going to make all this stuff your own. I'm giving you what I've used, what's worked for me as it relates to communicating with these municipalities. I want to put the power in their hands, if you will. I want them to feel empowered and know that they have a partner in this situation and not someone that's just coming to take advantage of them, even though they might be thinking that in the back of their mind. But you want to make their job easier, as I said earlier. And if you can take that file off and you can work within the parameters of what they have laid out and the way they want to do it, you're in the game. You're in the game. And once you're in, you're in. Once you're in, you're in. Period. Period. And so there's a checklist here of all the things you're going to need, but it's going to be different from municipality to municipality, right? So I could have put a checklist of 200 things in here, right? Different ones are going to want different things. But the most important thing is you're going to have to confirm who you are, how you're going to pay for this, the name of your company, its standing, where it's located, what you're going to be doing. Is it fix and flips, or is it rentals? Is it, whatever, mixed use, whatever it is, you have to, it's all in the checklist, and you'll be able to go from there. And you'll be able to download, well, actually, I've downloaded all these. I couldn't make the links live for the downloads as they're living, on my Google Drive. So I just included them in the zip file for you. And that's what it is. There's a lot more here. There's a ton more here to go and discuss, but it's for you, right? I'm doing it actively. I'm doing it actively. And when I tell you it's a blue ocean, the only thing I'm limited to is how much money I have access to. So I spend a lot of time raising capital so I can go do more and more and more of these. And, if I can buy and build a house for $300,000 all in, and I can sell it for $500,000, I'm winning. And I can do that over and over and over and over and over and over again. Our goal this year is to do 20 of those. Currently, right now, we have 5 of them locked in going into next year, right? We haven't even gotten into 2026 yet. So we have 5 of those locked in right now. And I've still got the rest of this year to find more deals that I can lock in. My particular goal is to lock as many of those 20 in as I can before year's end. Why? Because it makes my next year so much easier, right? I can focus. We're already in permitting on 2 of them, and we're starting our surveys and site plans and topos on the other 2 next week, or on the other 3 that we're buying this week, next week. So come January, February, those will be permitted. And I expect it to be a little slow because we're in the holiday season. We've got Thanksgiving coming up next week, and then we've got Christmas, and then New Year's, and we've got MLK right after that. All that stuff really, really slows the whole system down. It really does. So you have to keep that in mind as well. But by February, we'll be permitted. And I have favorable financing, right? So we raise the money to take these things down. We borrow the money from local investors to build, but they're not charging us interest until we get, because they don't really have to do anything. We get the approval that we can share with the municipality. Here's where we're getting the money from. Here's how we're buying the real estate right now. And we can simply go from there, right? All right, let's see. I want to hack your name, man. Is it Jedlee? But I'm going to answer your question. He is watching on LinkedIn right now. We are looking for shareholder partners to join an initiative as a forward-thinking development organization committed to bridging the gap between agriculture and real estate. All right, cool. That's something we can talk about offline for sure. because there are plenty of opportunities that we can take advantage of and go from there. So if you don't mind, man, messaging me with your contact information, and I'll get back to you. Let's say tomorrow. I'll reach out tomorrow for sure, and we'll put something together and we'll make it happen. Okay. But again, for anybody that's watching this right now, and this is a really long, I mean, I could share it with you, but it's a really, really long email. I mean, message, as you can see right there. And it goes on a little bit. It goes on a little bit. So I want to be able to share that with you, but right now is not going to be the time to go into that, because what you're asking for is a little more labor intensive. Cool, cool, cool. All right. Let me get back up here. Take that down. Okay. So for now, make sure you download this information. I'm going to let you guys go. It's nearly 8 o'clock. Maybe you've eaten, maybe you haven't. Maybe you want to spend some time with the family. Maybe you want to just prepare for your week, which I absolutely understand. We have a short week. I wish you all a very special holiday, right? Don't forget to go get your affordable turkeys. Oh no, I'm not even going to go into that. But enjoy your holiday, and thank you for spending this time with me today. If you want this, download, message me, leave a comment, whatever it is you need to do. If you're watching it on YouTube, it's the Real Estate Accelerators Group, or excuse me, the Jason O. Myles Real Estate Network. The Real Estate Accelerators Group is the Facebook group. You can also download it there. And hey, let's make things happen. Period, point blank. This is your man, Jason Myles, and I look forward to working with you. If you want more information, make sure that you visit me, Jason O. Myles. You see my name right there on whatever platform, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. It's all Jason O. Myles. And let's make some things happen. If you want to buy property, if you want to partner, let's do some deals. That's what we're here to do. We want to build a community. If you need some education, again, reach out for me, with me, or to me, excuse me. I can hook you up with some stuff to help you get started, to get on your way, and talk to you about being part of our community. We have all kind of different things that you can do. But I like to give real information, real actionable information that you can utilize right now in any market and make magic happen for yourself, because it's there. I tell people all the time, man, I started this with $200, sleeping on the couch. And that's the truth. You're going to learn a skill that you can use anywhere in the continental United States. Period. 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 Yes, Roxy, this is live. This is live. I am live. And I see you're watching on YouTube, correct? Yeah. So the download is in the description on YouTube. It's in the description there. So you can download it and you can get it right there. And if you have any other questions, please, by all means, reach out to me and allow me to answer those questions and help you get there faster, because it's not easy when you have to go it alone, and you shouldn't. You shouldn't do anything alone. You should make sure that you have a team. We specialize in building teams that work together. Our community is all about team and team working together, because you have skills I don't possess. I have skills you don't possess. Someone else has skills. We're not going to be good at everything. And if you try to be a jack of all trades and a master of none, you'll stay in the place you are right now. And if you're happy with that, great. I'm not shooting at you. But if you're trying to get somewhere else, you have to have a community, a team that you can work with and get to where you want to go. My name is Jason Myles, and I really, really appreciate your time on this Sunday. Go eat, go kick back, go get ready for the week, kick it with your family. I love y'all. Thank you so